Self-esteem, it's how we feel about ourselves, but if you find yourself struggling with low self-esteem, it's time for a boost. Here to share ways to boost your self-confidence is clinical psychologist Dr. Tim Hope. We all could use that every now and then, and you've got 10 tips for us.
I do.
We're going to start with the first 5.
Sure.
The first one seems so simple and so obvious, but groom yourself.
Right. Taking care of yourself can help yourself feel good on the outside, and when you see yourself in the mirror or when you see the reactions that other people are giving to you, that, wow, you look really nice today, that gives you that nice little boost to your self-confidence.
Yeah, we all know how that feels when you do put a little extra effort in, or you style your hair a certain way and you just feel good. You have a little more pep in your step. So
that's right.
It's worth doing because it does make you feel good about yourself. Dress nicely.
So this goes along with the first one, and dressing nicely doesn't have to mean you get $1,000 suits. It just means choose a clothing that you feel good in, that looks good, that's neat, that's clean, that's appropriate to the setting, that also helps you to feel good about yourself.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money.
No,
Dressing nicely doesn't mean spending money on clothing. It means just putting a little bit of effort in and looking polished so you feel good.
Right.
The third tip for boosting your self-confidence is Photoshop your self-image. What do you mean by this?
So, very often, and I know a lot of people like this, people have this really distorted sense of what they look like, how they present to the world. And really, if you take all the feedback that you get from the people around you and you actually listen to what they have to say, you might just realize, oh, this is completely different from my self-image. If you then can take that mental self-image and do some changing and updating to it to reflect what the feedback is that you're getting from others, it really can help your self-confidence.
Right. Actually think about that, because I think a lot of people they don't like what they see, and it's destructive to their confidence. So simple ways, I mean, sometimes you could have 1,000 people tell you look great, but you still don't think it.
That's right.
So you have to believe it.
That's right. And do some mental editing to that. So, not all of us is going to look like Gisele Bündchen or Tom Brady. That's just not possible. It's an impossible thing. However, all of us can look good and present well and be effective, no matter how tall or short or wide or skinny that we are.
Because after all, we're the only one of us.
That's right.
So embrace that. And think positive, because that's the fourth tip.
That's right. So thinking positive. So the more you act positive in ways that are positive, that are helpful to yourself, that are lifting of yourself and lifting of others, that just helps you to feel more self-confident. Think positive about what's coming up. Think positive about a meeting that you have or some preparations that you're making. Think mentally, rehearse what that might look like and how that will go well. We know behavioral rehearsal and mental rehearsal really work very effectively for athletes, for students. They work well for us in everyday life too.
Very interesting, and it's also about changing your perspective. The second you start thinking negatively or starting to dwell on those things that don't really help us feel good about ourselves, to change your perspective and think positive.
That's right.
And that's what we can do by deleting negative thoughts.
So the fifth one that we are talking about here is the flip side of the positive thoughts. We often get those negative thoughts. Oh, I can't do this, or this isn't going to work out, or no one's going to like what I have to say. As soon as you start to recognize those thoughts, put a stop to them. And a lot of people really like using some mental imagery. Picture that bright, shiny red stop sign, put a stop to them, and then insert a positive thought. Oh, I can't do this. No one's going to like me. Stop. Now, generally this goes really well. Generally I do just fine. Generally people really do like me. I think this is going to go well too. Put those positive thoughts in there, and it's going to help you feel a lot better.
And also think about the people you're surrounding yourself with, because if you're surrounding yourself with people who are negative, then you can't help but be negative. So try to find people who are positive.
Do some editing of your life there.
There you go, exactly. So those are the first 5 tips to help boost your confidence, and later we're going to share even more.
Great.
5 more. Looking forward to it. We are back with clinical psychologist Dr. Tim Hope. We're talking about ways to boost your self-confidence. So we left off on number 6. Get to know yourself. What do you mean by this, Dr. Hope?
So these negative thoughts that come at us, actually other comments that we get from people around us, they hurt because they get at those vulnerable places at us. So if you really take some time to get to know yourself, do some meditation about yourself. Do some journaling about yourself. What do you like? What do you not like? Where do you feel strong? Where do you feel competent? Where do you feel vulnerable? If you can learn about yourself, really intimately get to know yourself, accept yourself, warts and all, then that can help you shore up those vulnerabilities, address them, and also play upon your strengths.
Yes, so really knowing exactly who you are, what pushes your buttons, it'll help you out in those situations.
That's right.
The next tip, number 7, is act positive. I know we talked about think positive thoughts, but act on them. Don't just think them, act positive.
Right. So we do the mental rehearsal. Now it's time to put action into place. Action is what builds up confidence. When you actually practice doing good things and doing things positively and effectively, and you start to realize and monitor your outcomes, then you start to feel confident. Oh, I've done this many times. I can do this. That feeling of I can do this, that's confidence.
Yes, and that can really help other people in life too. Speaking of helping other people, being kind and generous, not just for the sake of doing something to look good, but doing it because it makes you feel good.
Right, so we know that doing kind things for others does help us feel really good about ourselves, and it helps build up that feeling of confidence too. It can be as simple as holding a door open for someone, carrying a heavy load for someone out of a grocery store over to their car, or it could be donating money to a worthy cause. It really can be very simple. It doesn't have to be big, and actually the more small, simple things that you do on a daily basis, the better you feel about yourself.
Yes, you lay down at night and think, wow, I made a difference in someone's day, and that one time a woman offered to help me put all my groceries in my car. She saw me with my 2 kids. I had my hands full, and I thought, the next time I'm by myself and I see someone with kids, I'm going to do that.
That's
and
right.
so it's a ripple effect.
That's
it makes you want to help others, which makes the world a better place.
Exactly.
And it makes you feel good. And that's what this is all about.
Right.
The next tip is to get prepared.
So get prepared. Do some studying. If you really want to do well on an exam, you got to prepare for that exam. You can't just hope that you're going to do well on an exam. So know what it is that you have facing you. Prepare, learn about it, read up on it, practice it. Do what you can to help yourself be ready. And so that preparation will help you feel more confident going into whatever it is you're doing on a daily basis.
And we could all totally relate to that. I mean, I remember when I did prepare and I felt good and I got a great exam score. Gosh, I felt good about myself.
Yeah, that's right.
When you don't, that's not going to affect your confidence in a good way.
That's right.
So we all know being prepared does help us. The 10th tip, the last tip, is know your principles and live by them.
Right, so this means get to know what are your guiding moral principles in your life. And if you don't know, do some reading, because there are lots of good ones out there. I try to live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And so I try to live by that. I make mistakes all the time, but one of the other key principles that I have is learn from your mistakes, so that I can teach others that, yes, I'm fallible. I can teach my kids that I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But I can learn from my mistakes and I can improve. I can constantly work to do things better the next time. Living by the golden rule, learning by your mistakes, know what your principles are and try and live by them. That will help you feel more confident in your life.
Every single day, exactly. And make sure that when you do that, you know that you're helping others along the way just by being who you are and sticking to those principles.
Right.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Oh, you're
Hope.
welcome.
Now I know what I need to do to feel better about myself every single day. Looking forward to starting with those 10 tips. Appreciate it. And if you need a self-confidence boost, head over to our website, mymassappeal.com, for all of Dr. Tim Hope's tips.